So let's talk now about the different roles that you will be assigned. The person who is going to end up running the discussion each week is the discussion director. They are going to be the one that starts off. They will have their specific questions. They'll kind of lead the discussion to begin with. Then it won't really matter if you move into connector detector or word warrior, and I'll show you guys what those roles are like in just a second. Finally, the summarizer, their job is going to come at the end. Now let me explain. If for some strange reason, maybe this group right here, maybe somebody can't get a hold of Sarah Rout, or perhaps she's dropped and we just don't know yet. If Donna, Chelsea, and Jamie go ahead and discuss for this week, starting with week 3, they'll need to make sure that they take out Word Warrior and rotate their roles between connector, detector, discussion director, and summarizer. And if you want to look at group 5 for guidance, then that would work. Not that that's happened here with group 2, but I just want to make sure, instead of getting hung up on, maybe somebody not showing up or somebody having dropped and we just didn't know when I made the schedule, just know that if you have less than 4, then we'll move it into something more along these lines. It'll go connector, detector, discussion director, summarizer. So if I start looking at the different assignments, the connector detector, this is the one that's listed first. However, discussion director is the role that you would want to start with. When you look through, this is not something you are going to have to upload anywhere. These sheets are for you. If you want to print them out, if you want to type directly on them, that's fine. But this is the role that I want you guys to take. Sometimes some groups have found that it is easier if you fill this out, then you can share the files with each other. So you can kind of see the connections that others are going to make, and you can also see the discussion questions. But as the connector detector for week 2, your job is going to be to make connections between the chapter or the book that you're reading and the real world. So since you guys are doing chapter 1 in the Library and Information Professions book and chapters 1 and 2 for the Copyright for Schools, you'll need to come up with at least 4 connections total, and you can have more. There is nothing that says you can't have more. So you might come up with a couple of connections from chapter 1, and then you might have one from chapter 1 for the copyright, and then you might have one from chapter 2 for the copyright book as well. So don't think that you have to have connections for every single chapter, but you can if you want. That is certainly doable. As you go through, you are going to try to come up with connections to today's reading, either happenings in your school. Most of us are in a school setting, but if you're not, it could be within your community. It could have been some other segment of life, so it could have been when you were in school a long time ago, or something that is important to you and or your group. So hopefully once we kind of get going, you'll start to know your group members a little bit, and you'll know kind of where everyone is in life. Maybe if everyone has, 2 cats and a dog, then, that might be something that is important to you guys. Or if everyone has daughters or sons, it could be anything. But you could also connect today's reading to some other story or article that you and your classmates might have read. So, you'll come up with at least 4. Can you go over? Yes, of course. Can you have less than 4? No, if you plan to get the 25 points that are allotted for each discussion. So make sure that you kind of stay within that range. Again, this is not anything you will turn in. Okay, discussion director is the next one that I opened. So again, just using this as a guide, it's not something you will have to turn in. For the discussion director, you are the one who is going to start leading your group. So hopefully you'll be in your Blackboard room early or ready to go as soon as you guys decide what night works best or day works best for you guys to complete your discussion. Your job is going to be to develop a list of questions, at least 4, that your group might want to discuss about this part of the book, this chapter. Don't worry about the small details. Your task is going to be to help people talk over the big ideas in the reading and share their reactions. Usually the best discussion questions come from your own thoughts, feelings, and concerns as you read, which you can list below, while you're doing your reading or after your reading, or you could use some of the general questions below, but I hope you'll tie them a little more specifically to the chapters that we are reading. For example, if I were the discussion director for this week when we were doing the Empowering Learners text, one of my discussion questions might be, what does assessment look like in the Library Media Center? How do you budget for all of the things that need to take place in the Media Center, to make the programs run? There's lots of different things that I could have done, but those are 2 things that I noticed a lot throughout the discussions that you guys posted in our just plain discussion threads. Could be something with, how do you wear all of the hats, or what are the different hats that you think you'll wear and which one is the most important. So your job is going to be to come up with some thoughtful questions for you and your group to go ahead and discuss. It's not a time for you to post a yes or no discussion question and then kind of move on to question 2. It should be something a little more thought-provoking. So you can see some of the sample ones, what was going through your mind while you read this part of the book or chapter. If you're in the copyright text, are we all going to jail? That might run through your mind quite often when you read that text. How did you feel while reading this part of the book or chapter? Did today's reading remind you of any real-life experiences? That will kind of go back to that connector detector person. What questions did you have when you finished this section? Those would be some great discussion points. So that is discussion director. The next role is probably the easiest, least time consuming, but you will still need to read in depth, the chapters that are assigned, because when your discussion director starts leading discussion, you need to know what's going on too in the reading. Don't just look for, 4 or 5 vocabulary words that you didn't know or understand. And that's what I find more with my undergrad students. With my graduate students, they usually put forth a bit more effort. Your job is going to be on the lookout for a few especially important words in today's reading, or phrases. If you find words that are puzzling or unfamiliar, mark them while you're reading. Later, jot down their definitions, either from the dictionary or some other source. Or you may run across some familiar words that stand out. Words or phrases, in the reading. Words that are repeated a lot, used in an unusual way, or key to the meaning of the text. So mark those special words too. Be ready to point them out to your group, and when your discussion group meets, help your members find them. So when you find the word or phrase, mark down the page number and what paragraph, and then come up with a short definition or a short description if it is a phrase instead. And I will expect at least 4, probably more, because I think this is possibly the easiest role. So please don't slack on this one. You will find that that there are some buzzwords or phrases that will come up quite often, and you'll start to see those throughout our text. And then the final role, this is the one the person will need to post after the discussion has taken place. This is the summarizer. Again, this is not something you will submit as a form. Instead, or actually, I guess you could in our discussion area on Blackboard. If you prefer to go ahead and just kind of fill this out and then copy and paste that in, you could definitely do that. That would not be a problem. Your job is to prepare a brief summary of today's discussion, of your group's discussion. Your summary should include the key points or highlights that your group focused on from the assigned reading. Post the summary in the discussion thread in Blackboard by 11:59 on that due date. So you would need to come up with at least 4 summarized main ideas or concepts that were covered in the discussion. Or you could also include any questions that your group still has as a whole. So this job, this is the one that is going to need to come at the end. So for the end of week 2, September 8th is the end of our time. So by Monday evening at 11:59, the summarizer needs to have their part posted. So if we go back to here, we should have discussed all 6 of these attached forms. If you will go into content, you will find that these are the rooms that you will go into. Now, group 1, make sure you know which group you're in, because anyone can actually get into the rooms. It's, you know, they're not private. I did mark it so that it would start recording as soon as you all are in your group, and I've also listed everyone who joins as a moderator. So when group 1 gets ready to do their discussion, they will click, you'll be able to join the room, and it goes all the way from August 31st, which is today, through December 7th. So each time, you know, you guys do one of your discussions, it will just keep track of how long you've met, when you've met, and then either, you know, if you use chat, it will keep a chat log. If you do it via microphone, then it will also have audio. So it will be something that I can go back and view and listen to and kind of put together some summaries out of all 5 of the groups. So that one is in content. All 5 of your rooms should be there anytime you need to go in there. Discussions, this is where the summarizer, so when we get ready to do this, there should only be 5 posts probably in this area, because there's 5 groups and 5 summarizers. So hopefully this gives you guys a chance to discuss, talk about things, but then hopefully I'll have a chance to go in and kind of wrap things up. So I plan to do some more of these screencasts where each week I'll try to include a little bit of the discussions or things from the week before, and then we'll kind of go from there. So when I post the screencasts, they will be in information. So just know that those are the places you need to look. If you have any questions anytime, please feel free to contact me. Talk to your group members first and see if you can get an answer from them first. But as a whole, please feel free to go ahead and contact me. I know that a few of you guys have had questions on your professional topic assignment. Basically, you are putting together a paper. If you have 2 different topics and you don't really see any links between them, then you need to treat them as separate topics. You don't need separate papers, but just start with one introduction, kind of, you know, talking about the first part, and then you separate your topics into the different paragraphs, and then when you get to the conclusion, they should both have some tie to library and information science. So hopefully you can at least see a theme or a link there. And then when you guys discuss them and share them with one another, you will do that within your discussion group. And then you'll be posting in our discussion area on Blackboard. You'll be posting your ahas or things that you learn, but that, you know, again, that will be here in a couple of weeks. So we've got a little time for that. Again, I hope you guys have a great week. Let me know if you're struggling or don't quite understand something, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can. Good luck with your groups. If you get a chance while you're in there, I know that a couple of you guys maybe have not found a partner or partners yet for the last assignment. You might want to talk to one another, see if that's something that would be doable as well. Enjoy your week.